Hey everybody, Tag Life Done Free. Hey, recently I did an interview with Lucy from My Crooked Little Homestead. And guys, I'm going to tell you, if you're looking for inspiration, if you're looking for a way to keep going to work every day, if you're looking for inspiration on how to homestead, guys, you got to hear her story. It's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely inspiring. So you want to be inspired? Come on, let's check it out. Well, hey everybody, I am here with Lucy, and I've kind of got a history with Lucy. She's been a subscriber to my channel for quite a while, and she sent me so many pictures that I have dubbed her the Terminator. And I like it a lot. It cracks me up, actually, all of the things she does. But so her YouTube channel is My Crooked Little Homestead. So make sure everybody goes over there, subscribe, give her a little love, okay? So, Lucy, tell me where you come from. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Well, I come from Canada, and I started. I've actually I never ever thought of it being called homesteading. It's a normal way of life for me and my husband. We had 5 kids. We started raising our own meat and birds, pigs. Since right from we've been married 44 years, I should say. Coming 45 years, and we've always grown our own gardens, raised our own meat and everything over time. And the different places that we always lived in the country, never lived in a city, in a town or anything. I was born in a city, but moved when I was a very young child to the country, to the bush, we call it here. And my husband, he was born and raised 3 generations on a farm in this area where we're living.
Yeah, how exciting is that?
And oh, it's to me it's a dream come true. I've always loved the country, loved animals. And when I met my husband, I was a teenager. I had to quit school and take care of my both parents. They were both sick. My father died when I was 16. He died of cancer, but it was my husband that he was my rock. He's one that came, helped me take care of them. And from then my mother took sick, and we had our own homestead. My father built his own house. He was a carpenter. So I learned a little bit of here and there of carpentry, excuse me, of carpentry. But we always, my mother always did preserves. She could never read or write, but she always remembered everything in her head, never wrote nothing down. So I never ever did get her recipes or anything. So I've been learning on my own. I've been on my own since I was 16 with my husband. And we raised 5 children together. So we've really, I think with all the ups and downs, we've come a long way together. And yeah, we have 10 grandchildren, and I love them all to bits. And I just keep going on. To me, this is a normal way of life. Doing my preserves, preparing for every winter, and making sure I have enough food for the whole winter. And I raise extra turkeys and chickens, meat chickens and that for my kids. And I give them that for like at Thanksgiving and for towards Christmas and stuff. And this is what I raise and give them.
Yeah, how neat is that? So tell us about your house.
Well, which one? Well, my very first house that we ever bought was 22. It'll be this coming November, would have been 22 years ago. And it burnt 4 years ago. And so my daughter, while we were living in our house, we gave my daughter a little piece of area, like a piece on the land, to build her own little cabin. And she built a little 10 by 10 cabin. Well, it was still here. So when the house burnt, my husband and I moved into it, and we fixed it up just for us to stay in it. And that is my husband just coming in and behind me. And he's like we it's not big, but it's comfortable. It reminds me of the Beverly Hillbillies, the movie, and I love it. It's it's the old way, and it's the way I love to live. I live off the land.
So how big is it?
The one section where I'm sitting now is 10 by 10, and the section behind me that my daughter built is 10 by 10. It it's like a kitchen and with the wood stove, and that, actually that's where our bed is right now. And this little part is my little sitting room where I do my preserves. And then this used to be a porch, and we closed it, and my husband and I put the walls up and everything together, insulated it, and we just there he is in behind. Leonard, this is Tag. This is my husband, Leonard.
Hey.
Yeah,
Hey, Leonard.
from like Dunfree. He's saying hello. Tag, see? Yeah.
Hello, Leonard.
And but
Hey.
but yeah, no, he comes from a 3-4 generation family, and he's the one he used to tell me all the stories and tell our kids the stories about when they used to make maple syrup. They used to do, I had a 100-acre sugar bush, and they used to do over 3,500 trees.
Ooh.
The old way, by walking and hand drilling and putting the spiles in and carrying buckets and then pulling it all the sap out by horse and sleigh. So he's the one with a lot of history about farming and about taking care of different things and different, like there was 14 in their family. So they had 3 different farms, and they had a lot of cattle, and they raised their own meats, and I learned a lot from him too, and all the stories he used to tell and his dad used to tell us before his dad passed away.
Yep. So you live in 200 square feet. Did I understand that correct?
If that's what you want to call it. 10 by 10, 10 by 10. So it's 20 by 10. Yeah. 200 square feet.
Yeah.
For now.
I think it's neat. Now, when you were raising your kids, how big a house did you live in?
Well, the first house that we had when we first had them, it was actually a 2-story old house. They tore it down, but it was one of the very first houses that was built in the little town I live in. And then we moved from here and moved down to what they call, I don't know if you've heard of it in Ontario, what they call the Muskokas. And my husband he worked on construction on highways, and then he moved to help his brother, and he started doing stone work, and he became a masonry. And he built fireplaces all over Muskoka, walkways, pillars, you name it. He can design anything out of a stone naturally with a chisel and a hammer. And I was the lady that took care of the kids at home until I went to work once my youngest son went to school. But we grew our own gardens, and I put down my own vegetables. We used to keep carrots all winter outside, and my husband used to cover it with straw like his father used to do. And we'd mark it so the kids wouldn't go there and play. And we'd dig our carrots up every time we wanted a batch of carrots. They were growing under the straw in the midwinter.
That is just so neat. So tell us how you heat your house.
Wood.
Wood?
Only wood.
Yeah, so tell me,
wood.
what does the process of cutting, splitting, stacking, hauling, what's the process of wood for you, Lucy?
My husband and I will go in the bush. My son got us an old 9N tractor. We go in the bush, we cut. I help him with moving the branches and pushing them to the side. And as he cuts, I pull the blocks out, split them, and then we pile them in the trailer that we hook to the tractor. We bring it home, put it in the woodshed, and it's all ready to go.
Yeah. So how far is the woodshed from your house?
Well, my new little house, it's 20 feet. My husband built me one in behind the cabin.
Oh, nice.
And another thing I do is I keep what I keep in my freezers, because we do have electricity here right now. If we lose our electricity in any way, we can go convert right over to solar if we need to. I keep freezers in my woodshed. I don't put freezers in my house. I put them outside because it's so cold in the winter. It saves on hydro, but it keeps everything frozen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's neat. So you talked about solar a little bit. So tell us how you get your energy, and just tell us about all that. How's all that work?
Well, before our house burnt, we bought solar panels, and I'm not a big fan of our which they call Ontario Hydro here. Them and I got into a big dispute, and I refused to pay my bill. So they cut us off, and my husband and I went and got solar panels, and we actually bought the cable and hooked from the main power, the 200 amp service, we hooked up to where the dryer, where you would hook up your dryer, and we ran a main cord, and we had a special inverter built in the wall, and we plugged our solar into it, and that's how we got power, and I powered my whole house for 4 years
So does that mean now
just off the solar panels.
do you have grid power now, or are you still living off the solar panels?
No, we do have grid. We, after the house burnt, my son was living here with us, him and his family. We had an old trailer, and we converted it, and he lives there. He's only about 300 feet from us, over to where he's on the other side of the old house, and I'm on this side of the old house.
Okay.
And of course, I remembered where the hydro had put the line underground, so I dug it up. My husband pulled the cable out with the tractor, and he built a box, and I went and picked up all the power bot, like the 200 amp service, and we had a neighbor down the road, and he came and hooked everything up for us. And he wouldn't take money, so I gave him a whole bunch of meat that we had processed, and it was kind of like a barter trade. And my son got us to, right now I'm just running a small cable over, but we're eventually gonna, my son wants to put a 60 amp service for what we use in the cabin, and then we're still going to use the solar, because my husband charges all his batteries with the solar. Every battery he needs to use for his tractor, anything, even my battery from my little pump I showed the one video, that gets charged. When it gets low, it gets charged on our solar panels.
So we talked about power, we talked about heat. What about water? What does water look like for you guys up there?
We have a well.
Okay.
We have a dug well here that's always been here, and that's where the video I had put on my channel. My husband took a little tiny electric pump out of an old trailer, because my son collects scrap, and the motorhomes that have their own pumps. He took that and he connected wires to it, and I have 2 little connectors that I hook up to my battery, and we have a garden hose down into our well, and we pump water. I watered all my garden. When my barrels got low, I watered all my garden, and all the way down to the chicken coop and to the barn for my livestock.
Yeah, neat. So what's your?
But
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you.
Well,
Go ahead, Lucy.
Go ahead. Go ahead and ask. Go ahead and ask.
I was going to ask you, what's taking a bath or taking a shower? Is that a challenge up there for you guys? No big deal?
No, we do it the old-fashioned way. I have rain barrels all around the back of my cabin, and I just haul it the old way by bucket, and by a bucket, and we boil either in the wintertime we boil on the wood stove, or I do have a barbecue, and I boil water on that, and that's how we don't shower, we bath, or we go down to the lake down the road from us. Yeah, we have a lake. We have lakes all around us, fresh water everywhere.
Yeah. So what's the temperature of that water right now?
Pretty cold, because we've had -6. We've had -6. Yes, pretty cold. Pretty cold. My son is in the middle of getting ready to build a shower house, because they don't have running water in their place yet, but we're going to connect a shower house and everything. Then we both can use it. But my addition it's not a bathtub, but it's an old type of tub that you put in, remember on the old Western movies, they have those old steel tubs and that, like that. And I'll just, like I do in the wintertime, I'll melt snow. I used to melt snow and keep snow melted in here when I used to have cows and horses, and I'd haul my pails of water down to the barn on my sleigh.
So if you need water in the winter, you melt snow.
Yeah, for bathing and that. I bailed the last 2 winters. Broke the ice in my well, and I just bailed and filled water jugs up and kept water night and day, and kept it here for drinking and cooking.
Yeah, how impressive is that? And I've always told you this, Lucy. It's why I called you the Terminator, because you live a lot of people would consider a very hard life.
to me, it's normal way of life. My husband used to tell our kids when they were stories when they were kids, how they used to see snow. Snow used to come in the walls in their old log cabins that they built. But that's the way they kept warm. Cook stove and heat with wood. That's all we heat with. And it's funny. We've been married 44 years, and we've always heated with wood. And our house burnt down through electricity.
Isn't that
From
crazy?
electricity, not from wood.
That is crazy. Power heat. Yeah. So what are your? Let's talk a little bit about your goals. What do you got coming? What's in front of you guys? What are you trying to get accomplished?
My one goal is to get my little addition. I've got the floor on now. We're going to get ready to put the walls up to have my bedroom and a bathroom, and just live happy. And my husband and I like to go fishing in the summertime. We have a lot of creeks that he used to fish at for speckled trout and that. And we have lakes all around where we go fishing in the summertime. Some in the winter we can go ice fishing if we want fish to eat, and just live a life free, be here, grow our own food, and be happy.
Yeah, so
enjoy our grandkids. And go ahead.
I was gonna say, you talk about growing food. What's that like for you guys? What do you grow? What's your garden like? Now I know I've seen pictures, so I already know the answer. But a lot of people watching this won't know the answer. So tell them what that's all like for you.
Well, this spring, I started watching Living Traditions during the epidemic that went on, and I started going on because we weren't allowed to leave our homes and stuff. So that didn't bother me. I don't need to leave anyways. I've always got my food. I have enough to get what I need. And I started watching Living Traditions, looking for recipes and stuff for food and preserving, because I like to preserve and I'd like to try new things. And once I started watching them, then I started watching Danny and Wanda. And there's not a day go by. I think within 2 weeks, I watched every video any of them ever put out. I watched day and night videos, and I took all the recipes and wrote it down. I watched how Danny built the cabin. I watched them, how they built the smokehouse and how they survived. And I said to my husband, I said, I'm going to build a greenhouse, but a high tunnel greenhouse type. So what I did was, he got me logs out of the bush. I peeled them all, let them dry. And then I had some lumber here that I had over time. And I built my door frames. I went out there and I dug it all out, leveled it. That's when our first tractor broke down. So I did it all by hand. And he came out and he can only do so much. He's been battling cancer for the last 12 years. So it's, he has his good days and then he has his bad days. But when he has good days, he comes out and he helped me set the posts up. And I built it 10 by 12. And then I watched, that was Kevin and Sarah. I watched them on Living Traditions build a hoop coops. So my son, collecting scrap, gives me all the rolls of fencing. So I had goat fencing and I looped it over top. And then he helped me with the plastic and everything. And then I took the way Danny and Wanda built inside the beds inside their greenhouse. I have 2 on each side of my greenhouse. So I'm hoping next year that I'm going to put a little building in between. I'm going to do maybe an 8 by 8 out of logs. And then I'm going to turn it into my kitchen. Like you built for B. Well, mine's going to be old fashioned, where I can do all my prepping and all my stuff in between. And then I'm hoping to build another greenhouse in behind that so I can work in between. And I want to figure a way to be able to grow lettuce and everything throughout our cold winter months, because sometimes we can get down to -50 here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and then I decided to expand my garden. So I started expanding, and I tried, I never grew cabbage for years. So I tried that, and I had over 50 head of cabbage. And my zucchini just went crazy on me this year. But I start everything in this little tiny cabin. My husband will put shelves up on the wall, and I do all my seeds in this little cabin. And then now that I've got the greenhouse, once I do it next spring, I can move everything to my greenhouse when it starts warming up.
So what's a day look like for you when it's -50? What do you do besides sit around the stove?
Stay in and stay warm. Stay in and stay warm by the wood stove. Well, sometimes I'll go out with the grandkids. I have a granddaughter that does live here, and we'll go out and make snowmen, and, different things like that. But I go every morning. I go out and I feed all my animals, make sure everybody's nice and warm and fed. And my chickens are raised. I have chickens and turkeys right now and rabbits, and they're all raised the old way. I don't put heaters in there or anything. I just make sure I don't, towards fall, in the fall, I don't give their chicken coop a real final cleaning on the floor or anything. And then I'll fill it right full of shavings, and it helps the heat from the manure, keeps them warm.
Where are you from? Florida?
Florida. I live in Kansas.
In Kansas.
Kansas. Oh,
Yep.
But yeah, no, we and then like right now I raised turkeys for my daughter, and I have 20 that I moved from, and that was a task 2 weeks ago. I carried them one at a time from where I was keeping them when they were a day old in the back part of my hen house. I carried them one at a time, and they're like between, I'd say 8 and 10 pounds, some a little more. And I carried them down to the barn, and I opened up where I used to keep my horses. I opened up a stall there, and that's where I put my turkeys. But I had to separate theirs from mine. And then I have, I raised 50 meat birds. I butchered 24 of them already, just young ones. And then these other ones that I have, they're over 10 pounds. They're about 10, 12 pounds. So I'm hoping to get them butchered this weekend. And then back to the garden, my son, like I said before, he collects scrap. Well, I don't know if you guys do it down in the States, but here in Canada, they, when they're building roads, they have what they call weed cloth. They put on the side of the highways.
Uh-huh.
And my son got me a 14-foot roll. And I mean, it was huge. It's still out there. It's still big. I unroll that. And that's what I put down in half of my garden and in the floor of my greenhouse, so I don't have to weed. And I'm hoping to do 95% of my garden like that next year. I'm already starting to plan my new garden for 2023.
So what percentage of your food do you guys grow, via chickens or turkeys or whatever, or grow via the garden? How much of your food are you producing yourself?
Well, everything I produce for myself, like everything I grow here, I've got my freezers full. I figured over 100 jars of preserves, and I still got 2 bushels of tomatoes in my greenhouse I got to do. I still have zucchini, my last final batch of zucchinis that I've got to do. And then I just picked all them potatoes, and that's near 200 pounds of potatoes, but I'm learning to do like a lot of people don't like it, but I water bath. I can't afford a pressure cooker. I've never did one, and I've always water bathed everything. So I'm learning to water bath my meat, everything, just like the Amish people. And I'm hoping to supply myself in advance for up to 2 to 3 years and just keep going. Just like Wanda has inspired me, the way her and Danny do everything and rotate. And that's what I'm hoping to do. And I'm hoping, I told my daughter, I'm hoping to I raise my own chicks. I have fertilized eggs, so I reproduce my own layers. And now I want to try and do that with the meat birds. And I'm hoping to do it with the turkeys. And this way here, I'll never have to go out and buy. I have it raised it right here on the property. The only thing I will go out and buy is my pigs, which I've already put on order. This year, I didn't get the ones I put on order. The guy sold them on me. So from a friend of mine that doesn't live very far from here, she has registered Yorkshires, and I've raised those piglets from them before. So what I've done is I put an order for 4, 2 for my daughter and 2 for us, and we butcher our own.
So
always have.
How often do you go to the grocery store?
Once a month, I think. If my husband wants butter, if we're running out of butter, or bathroom tissue or whatever. Other than that, very rare.
Yeah, I think that's just incredibly neat, all of that you do. Now, I don't know if you don't mind me asking, Lucy, or not, and if you do, just say you won't answer it. But how old are you?
61.
61 years old, living in the bush.
My husband's 71. Will be 71. Him and his twin sister this December. Yep.
So what would you? I mean, I think it's just fascinating to me that you live in a 200 square foot home. You carry a lot of your water. Your power's done by some solar, some by the grid. You heat with wood and have to chop and drag and do all of that. You grow your food, you raise your animals. And so what would you say to somebody who said, "Oh, I'm 60 years old, I'm too old, I can't do it"?
Get a life. No, I'm just joking. I've learned to live ever since my father died, and my husband's father. We really, he died many years ago too. Um, I look at life, and my husband's been battling cancer. My father died with cancer. So I look at life. You're here today, you could be gone tomorrow. And I wake up every morning and I pray to God and thank him. If I do wake up, I thank him for giving me life. And I don't plan days. What I do is I'll sit there and I'll ask him to help me and guide me for whatever my tasks I'm going to do. Cause I could plan 2 or 3 tasks for the day, but something comes up and I'm distracted from, or I'm doing something else, or somebody's asked me to do something else, one of the kids or whatever. So, I don't plan way ahead, except for my food. I want to keep ahead, but each day, like tomorrow, like right now it's raining. It's been raining heavy for since yesterday, last night. So my addition is on hold until the rain stops. Next week, we're supposed to get rain and wet snow. So I kind of picked my days in between to see what I can do. Mm-hmm. So while I'm in, actually, my son-in-law went moose hunting in Northern Ontario, and he brought back, him and his gang brought back a bull moose, and he gave me all the remnants of the meat. He gave me meat to cook, but all the remnants, what I do, I've just cooked 4 pails of chopped up meat that they don't use or whatever, and bones and everything, and the heart, the liver, whatever. I chopped that all up. I cooked it all, and I put it in baggies. I have a dog, and that's what he lives on. That's what he eats. I don't buy a whole lot of dog food from a store. It's just too many chemicals in it.
Lucy, we talked about, I think it's just absolutely amazing that you live in a 200 square foot cabin. You have a spouse who's been battling cancer. You carry most of your water. You chop your own firewood and you grow all your food. And it's so crazy to me because I hear people tell me stories all the time about how this life is hard and how I don't think they understand what hard is. I think you understand what hard is.
Well, I believe people make it hard for themselves. I take each day as it comes, and my husband and I, we have our own, you know, yeah, he's been doing really good with his cancer, but we don't stress ourselves over it, and we don't like, we know our limits, so we just do so much each day because there's always tomorrow. That's the way we look at it. And to me, it's not a hard way of life, really. Living in the city would be crazy and hard way of life because I can't stand the city. I think I'm a 3-hour drive from the Toronto in Ontario, and I've learned how to drive there, just the sick kids hospital and everything. I couldn't stand it. It's too much fast pace. It's craziness, stupidity, really, more than anything. That's all everybody wants to do is go, 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 go. That's not my way of life. Our way of life is we just, whatever we have to do that day or whatever comes up that day, we deal with it.
Yeah, I think,
and why stress over it?
Yeah, I think that's probably what
stress is one of the biggest things that makes you sick. What's that?
I think that's one of the things that inspires me about you, Lucy, is your frame of mind. Your attitude about, living life and being happy and being, truly being excited about where you are and being, I think it's just absolutely amazing. And, people tell me all the time that they like me because I'm happy all the time. And I think you're happy all the time, which is obviously why we get along, pretty good. But you got any words of wisdom for those people out there trying to homestead and trying to do it for themselves?
Take your time. Don't rush, because everything that you do, you will enjoy it while you're doing it, but don't overwork yourself and don't overload your brain. That's the way I look at it. I know there's, like, in the spring, I had like 10, 15 big projects I wanted to get done. Well, I made myself a list, and each day I worked at it, And like Danny said in one of his porch times, that, you take your time working at it and you stick to it till it's done. And then you start your next project. A lot of times I used to go crazy and have 3, 4 projects going all at once. And my husband told me to myself, he told me, he said, you know what, do one thing at a time until it's complete, and then check it off and do the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And this way here, it's been working out. It's been, every little bit works out each day. And that's the way that's the way I look at it. And that's the way people should look at it. The way I look at life, you're here today, you could be gone boom like that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
I often tell people that happiness is not a destination, it's a journey. And I think
That's right. It is.
And I think that you're the example of that, Lucy. I mean that.
Well, if it wasn't for my husband being my rock through me I had to quit school in grade 11, and I had to take care of my father while he was dying. My sisters, I had brothers and sisters, but they weren't around. But it was my husband that, he was there for me. And that's one thing I always look back at and appreciate, when you have a spouse that's there to support you, like you and B, you support each other.
Yeah.
And no matter what projects you do, you support each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I do with my husband. I help him when he needs the help. He's fabulous on working on chainsaws. He sharpens them. He repairs them. My son has brought in like 30 lawn tractors here, and he's repaired them, and that's free lawn tractors, and he's repaired them. They've resold them. He's fixed them for himself and for me. He's redone tractors. Mm-hmm. But he taught me. He's the one that taught me. I've learned how to redo a motor in I think it was a 67 Chevy truck, standard. He took the motor out, redone the motor, and he had me go through it piece by piece, like every little part of that motor. I can tear a motor right down to the inside the engine, right to now that I look at, I'm going to lose my word of thought now, to the crane. Mm-hmm. My daughter, our oldest daughter, came to him and said, Dad, can you help me? I want to learn how to change my own oil, how to do this and do that. And he got under the truck and he jacked it up, and he showed her how to do all that. And he showed her how to take the filters off, change the oil, and what to do and everything. She does it all herself.
Yeah, how amazing.
And yeah, and you know what? We have 2 boys, and they're both stonemasons, but they're a jack of all trades. And one thing people should do with children, and up here where I live, I see children nowadays, they don't know how to cook. They don't know how to use a stove, anything. When I did rent, when my kids were younger, I taught my kids right from the age of 5 years old, each one of them. And there's only 6 years between the oldest and the youngest. I taught them each how to cook. My husband loved to bake with them. And we taught them so that when they got out on their own, they could survive. If they needed to survive on their own, they know how to cook, they know how to bake, they know how to do it all. And I wanted to teach them that so that they would learn, because I never really, I got taught in a certain way. My husband did, because they all had to do that. They all took turns, baking and cooking and milking cows, you name it, they did it all. But I wanted my kids, because of the new generation, to learn that. And out there nowadays, I see kids all around that don't even know how to turn a stove on properly. And that's an electric stove. So imagine them trying to learn how to cook on a wood stove.
Yeah.
Because I do all my cooking. As of now, all my cooking gets done on my wood stove. Yeah. I do stews. I've cooked a turkey on there. I do everything on it.
Yeah, well, I know that the viewers of this video will love to see, Lucy, as time goes on, you show all those things that you do, because they're truly remarkable. I'm super impressed.
I'm learning. I'm having trouble with putting the videos on, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I think I need to get myself a camera instead of using my poor cell phone, because I can't figure out how to flip when I'm going and talking, and I'm always by myself, right? So I'm trying to figure out different things, but I'm learning. Since I got the laptop, I'm trying to get my YouTube channel all onto my laptop and not just on my phone. So now it seems like I got 2 different YouTube channels. Even though I've put the Terminator on it, I can't figure it out, but I'll learn. I taught myself how to run the computer. Mm-hmm. I got one many years ago, And I said, I'm going to learn how to do this on my own. So I turned it on and away I went, and I started playing around with it. And each day I just learned more and more and more. And now I'm doing the same thing. I just keep going and learning more and more. And you learn every day. Everybody learns something new every day. No matter what it is, you learn something little every day.
Yeah. So if people watching this want to go check your channel out or want to find you, how do they find you?
Go to YouTube and go to My Crooked Little Homestead.
Hmm. Yep. Nice and simple, right?
And I am, yep, and I am the Terminator.
You are the Terminator. There is no arguing that whatsoever.
I just had to laugh when Yoda and Mr. G were trying to figure out who I was.
Yeah. 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 Well, you've got
They
Lucy.
didn't. They
You've
said,
got...
"Oh, doesn't Lucy live up in Canada?"
Yeah. Yep. Well, you got Lucy.
And see now the new channel, Freesteading.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning. I go on it. I join up to every group I can join, but I'm learning how to get on it and go to these different groups and try and get into some of the discussions. Some have already been happening, but I try to join in.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to talk to people here in Canada, and I actually took this is my freesteading shirt.
Oh,
I
look
took
at
it.
that.
Yeah, I got it, and I'm proud of it. I wear it everywhere as I go, and I advertise, and I actually took a picture of it, put it on my Facebook. I do have a Facebook, and I actually invited everybody to come to freesteading.
All
Any
right.
homesteaders, any freesteaders, whatever. I advertised. Tell them to come see, come check it out, come see everybody there. And I've had a few people, of course, all my friends and everything are all clicking on it. I have my kids and my in-laws, my son-in-laws and that, and my daughter-in-laws. They're all clicking on my my YouTube channel. They can't believe, my grandchildren especially. My one granddaughter, she's 18. She just went to college, and she says, "You got your own YouTube channel, Grandma, at your age?" I said, "Yeah, why not? We got to learn." We keep learning. So she was right on it, checking it out.
Yep. Well, I think that's absolutely.
The only thing I did not, what's that?
Go ahead.
The only thing I didn't put on the one was you had sent me a message and told me to put it untitled, and I did that, but I didn't know if anybody saw that one where I had my granddaughter and my grandson helping with the butchering of the chickens. We didn't show the head chopping off or anything like that. We're not allowed, I was told.
Yep.
So and my granddaughter loves doing that. But she showed my grandson how to defeather it, cut the feet off, and get the hands in there and get the insides out and everything, and wash it all and everything after. And they had fun with it. And my granddaughter always has fun with it. Just wait till we do. 2 years ago, I did 25-pound turkeys. And they were heavy.
Yeah.
They were heavy to dunk them in the hot. And I don't have a chicken plucker thing. I do it the old-fashioned way. My husband builds me a stone area and put wood in, and we put a grate on it and an old big huge pot, and we boil water and we dunk our chickens and turkeys that way, and we do it the old way. Chop the heads on a block and all the old way.
So how long does it take you to pluck a turkey?
Let's see, when I did the big ones, probably about 10-15 minutes, maybe less. Depends on how hot the water is. Once you put it in there and you soak it at the right amount of time, so many seconds, you pull that out and it just peels off. And my grandkids, when they do it, they want to wear rubber gloves and all this because it's too hot. I just get in there with my hands and just go.
Yeah, this does not surprise me.
No.
Well, so on Facebook, you said you had a Facebook page.
Go ahead.
You said you had a Facebook page. Is that My Crooked Little Homestead as well?
No. That's just my own personal, it's just under my name, Lucy Bourne.
Okay.
On Facebook.
I'm just trying to give people watching this a chance to connect with you.
I did sign up to Instagram, but I don't understand it. So I just my son's on there, my family, my kids are on there, and I kind of go to them, and I sometimes some of the homesteaders are on there and I'll go and see what they put on that, but I'm not really familiar with it. So it's just something new I don't want to learn.
Yeah.
I like the YouTube and
Yeah.
the freesteading. Freesteading's number one.
Yep. Well, good.
Yep.
Well, you know what, Lucy, we've been at this for an hour. I want to give you the last words. What would you say to everybody out there? What's your final words for the night?
Live life free.
Yep. Live life free. We'll take that. Well,
When-
guys, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'll
I'm
give
done.
you. Yep. I was just going to say to everybody out there to go over to My Crooked Little Homestead and show them some love, subscribe, follow, watch their channels. And Lucy's going to continue to shoot videos of all the stuff that she does. And I'm going to tell you something. If Lucy at with her story and the things that she does can go out there.